Well, it's been the debate really on a bunch of horror forums I'm on, but I just want to get it straight from you. Your take on running zombies.
Zombies can't run.
The following program is rated TV MAL. It contains strong language and is intended only for mature audiences.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Go right on it.
Yeah, they're dead. They're all messed up.
If this is your first time, welcome to Brains
and Brews.
I am Joe, the psychologist, and here is my man Ricky Grimes. Sorry, he hates when I mess up. He constantly corrects my grammar. But anyway, what's up, Rick? What's going on?
What's up, brother? Ready to talk about 28 days later, kid. I'm pumped. I got my beer. Let's go, kid. Let's go.
We are here to talk about zombies, but in this case, we are talking about the infected.
They're not zombies.
They're not zombies, all right? But before we talk about them, we're going to talk about our brews. I am one of the many people on Earth that is doing the dry January. And I completely freaked out about this because, we're doing a show about beers. I'm like, bro, I'm doing like dry January. What am I supposed to do? Well, guess what? I'm not alone. I did some research. I even waited to open it up because I have not tasted anything. Well, it doesn't have alcohol, but it's all good. So this is from Athletic Brewing Company. It's called Run Wild. It's an IPA. Me, myself, I like pale ales, anything lighter. I'm not a dark person. And the best part is that as I was looking for this is from Stratford, Connecticut. So shout out Stratford, and shout out Bridgeport. I am, from Connecticut. It'll be my first taste of something, even though it's not alcoholic.
Let me ask you, man. Last month you had Miller Lite, and now you're telling me this week you got a non-alcoholic beverage.
Listen, we did not plan this out properly, but hey, as with all growing shows, it can't be perfect from the beginning. And it's me. it's something's got to go wrong. Hopefully next week it won't be anything, or next episode it won't be anything bad. But
take
anyway,
that sip, kid. Let's see.
Here we
How
go.
was it? Cheers, brother.
Actually, truthfully, for non-alcoholic, that tastes pretty damn good. It tastes like alcohol, unless it's because I haven't tasted anything in a bit. But yeah. It's citrusy. It's citrusy. Excuse me, citrusy and super light.
That's because of the IPA, man. Hops. IPA is my favorite, kid.
It's really good. Cheers.
Salute.
All right, and you, my brother, what are you sipping on?
Well, your boy Ricky Grimes. Right now, I'm going basic. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's cold as hell in Connecticut. I got my hoodie on, as you can see. So, what better to partake the night in with a good old-fashioned Samuel Adams Winter Lager. I love seasonal brews from Samuel Adams. I think Cold Snap, which is like the spring brew, that comes out around March and April. My favorite, Oktoberfest, is okay, but Winter Lager is banging. If you want a nice beer that's kind of not too harsh or bitter, just nice, and it's one of the more higher alcohol bounds out of 5.6, which may not seem high, but for a Samuel Adams, that's probably as high as you're gonna get.
That light or dark?
Dark, brother.
I'll cover the light then, but damn, I really wish this was alcoholic. But it's all right, it's all good. It does taste good. So anybody who is doing actually dry January, all jokes aside, if you're looking for something, you like IPAs, this Run Wild is actually pretty legit. So our first episode, we went with Rick and I. We are fans of the Shamblers. We like the runners, which is what this is going to be about. But us, we like the old school, slow walking, infected in this case.
Zombies don't run.
Zombies don't run. However, when they do, they could be legit scary. And that's why when we talked about putting together this list, 28 Days Later is what we had as the follow-up to Night of the Living Dead. So it's basically the book warners of what we feel are the two that changed the genre. One created the genre, one changed the genre.
Yeah, no doubt.
We are discussing the 2002 movie 28 Days Later. It is directed by Danny Boyle and written by Alex Garland. This movie also introduced me to one of my favorite actors of his generation, and that's Cillian Murphy. But Rick, what are your thoughts first on 28 Days Later and the changes it made for the genre as far as, the zombies and now they're runners?
Now, when you approached me, Joe, with a psychologist about 28 Days Later for this show, I was like, okay, we could do it because it's part of, history. But I wasn't always enamored with this film for obvious reasons. But after watching it now, much older and with a better understanding, I fucking love this film, bro. I gained such an appreciation for this film that I wish I wasn't so ignorant in the past, because I'm not a fan of running zombies. But looking at it through this lens, it's not a zombie film. This film is about a global pandemic on like the most ultimate scale, and especially what we just went through and we're still currently going through. This film hits even harder. I don't blame James Gunn. Actually, yeah, fuck it, I do. Dawn of the Dead, the remake. Now, he wrote that film. He didn't direct it, he wrote that film. That created the zombie runner as we see now, with the screeching and like they seem more human than zombie, right? But this film, 28 Days Later, holy shit, these motherfuckers were scary. They're infected. They're people. It's the rage virus. Again, I wish I would have seen this movie through this lens as opposed to when I was younger, more ignorant. And I was like, nah, zombies don't run. I ain't watching that shit. I watched it with hate. Now, I kept an open mind. I watched it again. This film is an absolute classic film. I think it changed the genre for the better because I'm not a fan of runners, but it gained a bigger, broader audience. You said it, it's changed the game. And yeah, man, I appreciate this film so much. And brother, cheers for you bringing it up to my attention, bro. Damn, that's a good thing.
Listen, for me, when you have a horde running at you, it was the running that kind of got me, because we were used to them walking slowly for so many years. And at this point in my life, I know I can't outrun them, so I'd be pretty fucked. Then you have that one scene where they fucking napalm one, and it's still running. I was like,
there was a few of them on fire.
There was a few of them, and I'm like, shit, serious. I might have stood a chance, but now that I know that they can get burned and they'll just keep going, like, this movie, like, it legit, they were fucking freaky as fuck. The one thing is, you saw Romero's blueprint in this, because yet again, as we talked about before, humans are the actual monsters. They're just trying to get away from these people who are infected. So I mean, the people who are infected don't really have any clear thoughts on what they're doing, but then they fucking run fast, man.
The one thing that really switches it up for me is you don't have to kill them in the brain. You could maim them, you could butcher them until they cease to exist. They don't really explain it because obviously they're on fire and they're running, but it gets to a point where the fire will take its toll and they're gonna drop.
Yeah.
Because they got that rage in them. And Boyle kind of described the rage virus in a sense. Imagine getting road rage, multiply that by 1,000. And it's scary because I get road rage. Yep, they're not zombies, they're crazy motherfuckers.
Obviously does something also to the sensory system, because their nervous system, they're burning.
They don't feel pain. They don't
feel pain.
They're not dead.
I mean, yeah.
They're not dead. They're not.
That's what I'm saying.
Undead,
but they're not. Yeah, they're still alive, but they feel no pain.
It's like the adrenaline. When you're high on adrenaline, whether you're an athlete, for example. Let's say you're in a boxing match and you got all this adrenaline. You're not gonna feel a punch to the face, Pretty much. So that's a good call right there.
Well, so in 28 days, it's infected. This is another one that changed the transmission of the virus, I guess you can say. Yes, you can still get bit, but in this one, like literally a drop of blood, if it comes into contact with you, within 3 minutes you're gonna turn. You're another kind of fucked, because you have to always protect your eyes, your mouth, like anything that's open. Never get cut, or else you're gonna get infected. Did you like the transmission being like I said, even a droplet?
I did like that. I think the only problem with that is it creates loopholes in a sense, because there's scenes in this film where, for example, Jim, when he's fucking people up and the blood splatting all over his face. You want it for effect, but at the same time, what are the chances that not one single droplet got into his eyeball, for example, or into his mouth? So yeah, they take liberties with that rule, but I liked it, especially like, dude, let's talk about this opening. It's scary because this could happen. There's scientists now that synthesized polio. Like, they could do it. And the way this guy was saying, like, they have the primates, they're all infected, you know, they have inhibitors, you know, and you're like, holy shit, the shit we're going through now, for example, like the coronavirus, and even like, let's take it back, HIV and Ebola, where did that start? Primates. This is a such a scary concept, and this opening, man, let me tell you, holy shit, I was pretty fucking high when I seen it. And, oh man, I can't, this is to me one of the greatest opening in a horror film ever. Now, people tend to think it's an action movie, sci-fi action, horror, sci-fi. This is a pure horror film.
Yeah, it's horror.
This shit can happen, brother. And it's funny because in this film they said the next pandemic isn't that far away. You know, they use this verbiage. Like, Selena in this film has a line where she's like, first it started on the television, then it was on the street, then it's bursting through your window. When coronavirus first started, you started by news reports, then you see it all over the place. And you saw, even with corona, you saw how people turned against one another. You saw how politics came into play into this. Look at what we turned into during this pandemic. Imagine if something like this were to happen. Like, we're done.
Rick and I are a fountain of useless information. There's a lot of little things we know here and there about directors, writers, and stuff like that, which is going to be included in here.
First of all, this film is the first major motion picture to be shot on digital video as opposed to film. That's why it has that real grainy, sickly look to it. You're not watching a film. It's like you're watching a movie that was documented.
Yeah.
The landmarks, all real, no CGI. They actually closed down streets to get everything look barren. They actually filmed the celebration scene when they're in the grocery store on September 11, 2001.
Oh, wow.
We know what day that is. This movie's a time capsule, man. It takes you back, but the way it was shot, again, it wasn't shot with elaborate cameras. The scene when they closed down the streets and they're in London, the M1, the big highway over there, the freeway, 10 cameras stationed everywhere to get as much footage as possible, and they only acquired about 1 minute of actual useful video that went into the movie.
Oh, no.
But the 1 minute, it's just all they needed. You got that sense of dread, the sense of like abandonment. You feel for Jim. The Walking Dead completely lifted its entire opening with Rick Grimes waking up in the hospital. Jim wakes up in the hospital.
Boom.
Same exact way. And Robert Kirkman never denied it though. He always said yes, he intended to do that because he loved that. He loves this film. But he goes look for his family. By the way, bro, when he finds his family, oh my God, what a scene. The message. Jim, please don't wake up. Oh my God, dude, I lost my shit when that scene came out. The message claiming sanctuary. They go find these soldiers holed up in some kind of mansion that looks a lot like the Hilltop, mind you. The Barrington
There's a
house.
whole lot of
and they turn out to be not so good people. The Last of Us, there's a scene with the horses. I don't want to give it away because in case it's a spoiler for The Last of Us, but that horse scene is directly lifted from this film into The Last of Us as well. They switched it up a bit. The point they were trying to make with those horses, the metaphor, everything to a T, bro. And the fact that when I saw this, I'm like, oh my God, this is where they got it from. What? Watching it again, I could see how much of inspiration that this film was to future filmmakers, man. The filmmakers took the running zombie and ran it to the ground. Yes, pun is intended.
This was Alex Garland's first screenplay. Everyone should know that name by now. I mean,
Annihilation. He did that.
Annihilation, Ex Machina. Danny Boyle directed 2 of probably my favorite movies. The thriller Shallow Grave, I recommended that one to you. That's the one with Ewan McGregor. It's an awesome,
seen it.
Oh, it's an awesome movie. It's like you're guessing. It's a lot of back and forth, and also with Ewan McGregor, Trainspotting.
Trainspotting, obviously. Yeah.
I mean, you know, but not just that. So he does these movies, and then everybody fell in love with him and got his Oscar for Slumdog Millionaire. Danny Boyle directed The Beach.
Yeah.
And The Beach was Alex Garland's first novel.
I saw it in the theater, actually.
I saw it too. That was I thought it was good. It's one of those that, you know, you kind of like, I probably should have sat at home so I can like really pay attention to it, because I didn't realize I had to pay so much attention to it.
That was during that era when the Titanic came out, and I became a huge Leo fan. That was his next movie after that, you know, mainstream wise, you know, like, I'm gonna go watch it. And I saw like, that ain't Titanic, man. I'm not doing it. I liked it though. After I watched it again.
Yeah, it's one you have to watch a couple times. But again, we're talking about Alex Garland, so like I just thought it was, as I was looking things up.
You know what though? But I didn't realize he directed that until you mentioned it now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So
That's
it like Danny,
That's
like
right.
literally, it went this. They went around, you know, still connected on you know, the first screenplay, first novel. Yeah, so I thought it was pretty cool on that.
Danny Boyle, the attention to detail he has in his films, he actually hired athletes to portray the infected in
That
this
was a
film.
smart idea.
Very
That's
smart.
That's why they ran so fucking fast. I was like, man, I cannot imagine, like, as an extra, they tell you, okay, so welcome. Today, we're going to require you to run 20 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait, what? Like, dude, I can do like 5. And you're, yeah, no. That's a little bit, which makes it even better.
Yeah.
I did read, rumor is that he may be doing, I guess they're going to do a third 28 days, which I would imagine was maybe 28 months later.
Yeah, would be, yeah.
Because, yeah, this is 28 days, and we have 28 weeks. Look for that.
Blood. Hope this is not Chris's blood.
For you, Night of the Living Dead is your standard. Mine too, but then there's this one. So this one is my standard for infected for the runners. So it's really hard to mimic it or copy it.
And one thing I noticed after rewatching it, they don't eat people. They
they
bite to kill you.
Yeah,
they
just
beat the fuck out of you, bro.
pretty much it. Which, Virus 32, they didn't eat you. They just basically kicked your ass. And that's why I was like, you know, the sad that, you know, yeah, the sad, you know, you have, there's all these, the sadness, all these, everybody's loving all these movies, but this is the
where
it started.
Where Night of the Living Dead is a granddaddy of the zombie film. This is the granddaddy of the infected.
And that's what I was trying to touch. Yeah, that's why I wanted to. So basically, for us, these are the two standards that we're gonna have as far as zombie infected movies. Fuck you, motherfucker. I wish mine had alcohol. You smell good though. I mean, at least it's tricking the senses. At least it works for that. Well, guys, hope you enjoyed.
And Joe, the psychologist, tell our fans what we're going to be talking about next month on Brains and Brews.
We are going to be doing Dawn of the Dead, right?
Yes, Dawn of the Dead. George A. Romero's classic. Not the Zack Snyder film. Nothing wrong with that film. But we're talking about the classic.
That's gonna be the next one.
My favorite film of all time.
I know. I watched your drive-in theater episode on that one, and you had so much information. Before we sign off, hit subscribe. Cheers.
We all cheer for big bottles of beer. I'm Ricky Grimes.
And I am Joe the psychologist. And make sure to come back about a month for Brains
and Brews. Stay scared, motherfucker.
And don't get bit.
Destiny's devils be savages. Slimmed and chance with the averages. Sinning on the low like you added slick. Darkness make you disappear like a magic trick. Pull up to the table, come down and sit. These devils try to tie you the crown with it. Now you surrounded by counterfeits, trying to chop you up into 1,000 bits.